You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host. It feel like I haven't been here in a month or something. Oh, that's right. That was you. Okay, my bad. People going off on assignment, getting stuff done, working on projects, doing all sorts of things. Leaving me here to slave over. Oh, we can't say that no more, can we? Slave over this radio show is terrible, just terrible. You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. 833-212-1017 is the number. Hey, my show today is easy. Because guess what? Guess what? This statement today, my truth. Let me tilt this so I can get it right while I'm sitting on LinkedIn and YouTube. This is for Jill Underly. Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, JS Online, in the first national assessment of students since the pandemic, Wisconsin once again posted not one of, but the widest score gap between Black and white students of any state. Now even greater margins. At the same time, Wisconsin's scores statewide climbed in the rankings, though the state's 2022 scores declined since the last national assessment in 2019. Most states saw steeper drops. Known as the nation's report card, the U.S. Department of Education National Assessment of Educational Progress. Wisconsin scores continue to exceed other states, ranking in the top 10 in math, for fourth and eighth graders, and reading for eighth graders. Fourth grade reading, as it was in 2019, continues to be the state's worst area. And so as I read through this article, it talks about reacting to the scores. Wisconsin Department of Public Education celebrated. And I'm like, what is the Wisconsin Department of Public Education? You mean public instruction? I think the reporter should probably pay some attention and get it right. Or maybe I'm wrong, but I digress. Their drops were slighter than what the Department of Education deems to be statistically significant. Ask that question, make that statement to the parents of the kids that can't read or do math. The declines for Wisconsin, believe it or not, are significantly higher, which doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense. Just doesn't make any sense. So one of the things that I've been looking at is trying to figure out exactly, and let me get this, exactly what Jill Underly's been doing. I don't understand what she's been doing. So she's been here a whole year. She's been taking care of Wisconsin schools for years. She's been a superintendent. But yet somehow, when it comes time for the schools to do well, she's nowhere to be found. In the statement, State Superintendent Jill Underly also acknowledged the persisting opportunity gap between Black and white students. Underly said, "We've known Wisconsin's racial disparities in assessment results are among the widest in the nation for too long, and those troubling results are yet one more indication that we must close the opportunity gap in our state." Really? Wow. I love how Jill Underly always states the obvious, but never gives you a plan on what to do about it. Oh, wait a minute. She gave her kids a plan because her kids, she took them out of the public school that wasn't performing and put them in Catholic school because she could afford it. But this is the same woman that doesn't want you to have school choice. You shouldn't be able to choose where your kids go to school or to get a better education. Her, on the other hand, because she's privileged and white and has the money to take her kids and put them in a private school, she did it. but you're not her. She's special. And while about a dozen states didn't report test scores for Black students because of low numbers, all other states reported score gaps between Black and white students. Wisconsin had the widest gap out of every state in each category, although Washington, D.C. was worse. Other states came close. In fourth grade, now listen to this. Let me go back and talk about what Jill Underly said. Biggest mistake Wisconsin ever made was making her the superintendent. It said, State Superintendent Jill Underly acknowledged the persisting opportunity gap. Opportunity gap? Are you an idiot? We've known Wisconsin racial disparities in assessment results are among the widest in the nation for too long. How long have you been in education, and how long have you allowed it to persist? And what have you done to change it in the 2 years you've been here? Oh, that's right. You're special. You don't do anything. You just take care of your children. No one else should be able to take care of their children. Well, let's look. Fourth grade math. White students in Wisconsin scored 37% higher than Black students. The next biggest difference was 18% in Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. In fourth grade reading, white students in Wisconsin, 22% higher than Black students. Next biggest difference was 19% in California and Maine. Eighth grade math, white students, 23% higher than Black students. Eighth grade reading, white students, 16% higher than Black students. What's missing from this? What's missing from this? Where are the numbers? So if I'm 37% higher and we're all in the D range, right? And you're a C, I don't know if that's, I don't know if that's significant. I don't know if at 37% higher, which is almost 40%, and the bottom is like an F, 37% higher might only put me at a D plus or a C. But what are some of the contributing factors? What's causing Black fourth graders in Milwaukee to score among the lowest among all of the school districts that participated? Well, the obvious idiocy that they said. NPS said the learning loss from the COVID-19 pandemic is real. The numbers were terrible in 2019, the last time they did it. So what are you talking about? We're committed to continue keeping students on track. They're failing. What are they tracking? Failing? The programs we implemented are in place, and we're looking at new efforts, new way. We've been hearing the same crap for 50 years. When is somebody going to come in and take over NPS and do what's needed to be done to make sure all students of all races and all demographics and all levels of income learn? It's ridiculous. It's terrible. And the NPS superintendent of schools, any choice school that is not teaching our children, any charter school that's not teaching our children should be put out of business. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. One of the persons interviewed said that the data showing the disparity in reading and math scores has been a persistent problem. No kidding. The discrepancy in student test scores stems from a lack of opportunities they have. Opportunity for what? Whether a student experienced poverty versus someone who was not, or whether a student faces job disruption from the pandemic, or been shuffled and shuffling among family members because of a lack of daycare while parents work, which has been happening for decades, yet decades of kids have made it. So what is the Milwaukee Public School not doing? What is the state of Wisconsin not doing? Someone said Wisconsin has had a black and white discrepancy on testing for such a long time. It's time we do something about it. Because the white people are making white people the arbiter of what's right and what's not, and what's good and what's not, based on what they think, and using themselves as the standard, as in everything we do. How we talk, how we act, how we wear our hair, how we speak, how we're educated. She added that it is difficult to find standardized assessment that aren't biased when we're looking at So your teaching isn't biased. Your testing your teaching is biased. Your testing is biased. So then why haven't you come up with a test that can test Black and brown children in a way that they understand and are able to show what they know? Like, where have you been and what have you been doing other than living in the school teachers union created bubble where if you go outside of it, you lose all rights and privileges, as has happened to so many other people who tried to speak up about MPS. Jill Underly should be ashamed of herself. Jill Underly should go somewhere and resign. If Evers is trying to drop $2 billion to boost education funding so that they can take it and give it to teachers and build schools instead of educating the children, that's a waste of time. If you have less students and more money, what exactly are you missing? And through all of this, the only thing Jill Underly can say, the only thing she can do is to look back to the interview we had last year when she ran for office. And when she got caught talking out of both sides of her face, the only thing she can tell people today is, oops, I did it again.
Ken's Truth on the new 1017.